In the endless darkness of space, the stars shone like scattered diamonds across a black canvas. Most of the galaxy had long ignored Earth, calling it a dangerous and primitive planet. Stories circulated about humans being unpredictable and resilient, sometimes to a terrifying degree, but no one really paid attention. Until now. A faint signal had begun to pulse through the void. At first it seemed ordinary, almost like static. Then a pattern emerged. The signal was repeating, precise and deliberate, a call for help. Alien scientists on distant observation stations were the first to notice it. They puzzled over the strange combination of energy and frequency, which was unlike any known distress transmission. Is it a new human signal? One of them asked, a translator buzzing in its robotic tone. No, another replied. Human communications are usually chaotic. This is different. This is deliberate. It has been running for decades, maybe centuries. The Galactic Council received reports as news of the signal spread. They studied Earth's history carefully. Humans were officially known as a Deathworld species, capable of surviving in environments that would destroy almost any other life form. Entire colonies had been wiped out because humans adapted when nothing else could. And yet, despite the planet's harsh surface conditions, humanity thrived. But a distress signal from Earth was unheard of. Surely nothing could be wrong on a planet so familiar to the Council. On a small outpost at the edge of the Orion Arm, a group of alien explorers decided to investigate. Their ships glided through space silently, instruments scanning for any sign of life. The signal led them farther than they expected, to a small system that appeared empty. When they arrived, they were stunned. There, orbiting a quiet blue-green world, was a tiny outpost, clearly human in origin. It was old, patched and weathered, but it still emitted the steady signal. The explorers landed cautiously. Inside the outpost, the air was still breathable, the systems operational. A single console hummed, sending the SOS into the galaxy. On the screen, a simple message blinked in human letters. Help. Warning, do not ignore. The aliens communicated with the outpost, trying to understand who had sent the message. Records showed the station had been abandoned long ago, centuries before. Its original crew had vanished, leaving only automated systems behind. The explorers were uneasy. This was no ordinary SOS. It wasn't random or desperate, it was structured, almost like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Whoever or whatever had sent it wanted attention. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans had already detected the signal. They didn't send fleets at first, only scouts and probes. But every human who studied it felt the same thrill. Something big was about to happen. Something dangerous, but nothing humans could not handle. Captain Alara Voss, commanding the scout ship Endurance, leaned back in her chair. Her eyes scanned the holographic map of the sector. So the signal is real, she said quietly. And it's coming from the edge of the known systems. Her first officer, Lieutenant Jarek Tull, frowned. Edge of the galaxy. No one goes there for centuries. Why would humans be sending a distress call from there? Alara smiled faintly. Not distress, warning, humans don't panic. If they were in danger, it would be calculated. That's what I think. Someone wants us to notice. The Endurance slipped through space with quiet precision. Its hull, reinforced with layered alloys, gleamed faintly under distant starlight. It wasn't the fastest ship in the human fleet, but it was clever. Its crew specialized in survival, in adapting to threats no one else could survive. As they neared the signal's origin, strange readings appeared on the scanners. The outpost itself seemed almost alive, its energy signature pulsing with purpose. It wasn't abandoned entirely. It was waiting, listening. The human crew sensed it. Alara's voice cut through the quiet. Prepare for landing. We need to know exactly what sent this SOS. The landing was tense but smooth. The small landing craft touched the surface without incident. The planet below was rugged, with jagged mountains and deep valleys. It was an unwelcoming place, a true death world by human standards. But for the crew of the Endurance, it was a challenge. Inside the outpost, dust-covered consoles, but power still flowed. Human engineers were already analyzing systems. Lieutenant Tull moved carefully, noting the strange symbols etched into the walls. Old human writing, decades old, that no alien would have recognized. Then they found the logs. The messages were not just warnings, they were directions. Maps of star systems, coordinates, and notes about strange phenomena. Some logs spoke of a distant machine intelligence called the Harvesters, a swarm that had consumed entire worlds. The humans had lost a colony to them long ago, and the SOS was a warning. The threat had returned. Alara's jaw tightened. So this wasn't just a distress signal. This was a call to prepare for what's coming. The crew shared uneasy glances. They had trained for countless scenarios, but the harvesters were legendary. Entire fleets had been destroyed in stories humans told each other at night, though no other species truly believed them. Now evidence suggested they were real and approaching. Back aboard the Endurance, the human crew began sending encrypted messages across the human fleet. Within hours, more ships began mobilizing. Humans did not wait to be attacked. They prepared to strike first. Meanwhile, alien observers could only watch in disbelief. They had expected a weak, dying species, not a coordinated fleet preparing for war. They whispered to each other in disbelief. Humans. Again. The outpost had done its job. The SOS had reached far and wide, calling attention to a threat the galaxy had ignored. And humans, resilient, daring, unpredictable humans, had answered. Alara Voss looked at the holographic map again. The coordinates of the harvester's last known location blinked red. This is going to be dangerous, she said. But danger is exactly why we exist. Lieutenant Tull nodded. So we fight. Ilara's lips curled into a faint smile. Not just fight. We survive. And when they think they've won, we will shock them. As the Endurance prepared to leave orbit, the planet below remained silent, its secrets waiting. The SOS that had called the Deathworlders had done more than warn. It had set in motion events that would change the galaxy forever. Far across the stars, other species received the signal. Some ignored it, some worried. Most did not realize the truth. Humans were not ordinary. They were unpredictable, dangerous, and, in ways the galaxy had forgotten, unstoppable. And in the quiet of space, a new chapter began. One that would see humans rise against threats no one else dared face, and in doing so, remind the galaxy why Earth was called a death world. The signal pulsed one last time before fading into the void, leaving behind only anticipation and the faintest echo of a human laugh, a sound that promised both danger and hope. Humans were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Endurance moved silently through the void, its engines leaving faint trails of energy that disappeared into the darkness. The human fleet had begun to mobilize, ships of all shapes and sizes converging from Earth and nearby colonies. Each vessel carried hardened crews, trained for survival against threats that would terrify any ordinary species. The SOS had done more than send a warning. It had called the galaxy's most formidable humans to action. Captain Alara Voss studied the data streaming across the Endurance's console. The coordinates pointed to a system far from the main trade routes, where few ships had ever ventured. Sensors detected anomalies, faint signs of life, structures partially buried under centuries of dust and rock, and unusual energy readings that made the crew uneasy. Lieutenant Jarek Tull leaned over her shoulder. It looks abandoned. Why would anyone build a station here? Ilara shook her head. Not abandoned, waiting. Humans build things to last, to survive. This outpost isn't just a relic. It's a lure or a warning. Something wants us to see it. The Endurance approached the planet slowly, scanning for threats. It was a harsh world, a true death world. Jagged mountains pierced the sky, and violent storms raged across deserts of black sand. It would have been impossible for ordinary life to thrive here. Yet decades-old automated systems hummed with energy. Below, the outpost seemed almost alive. Lights flickered in patterns, consoles glowed with soft pulses, and doors opened as if recognizing the humans above. The crew of the Endurance had seen many strange things in their lives, but this was different. The planet itself felt like it was watching, waiting for the humans to make the first move. Prepare the landing teams, Ilara commanded. We go down carefully. No surprises, the landing was smooth. The human craft touched the jagged surface without incident. Outside, the air was thin and sharp, carrying the scent of ozone and minerals. The landing party stepped out cautiously, their boots crunching on the blackened ground. The outpost entrance opened automatically. Inside, the crew found corridors lined with ancient technology. Dust covered most surfaces, but power flowed through conduits and panels. Strange symbols were etched into the walls, old human markings, some of them undeciphered for centuries. Engineer Leora Chan knelt beside a console. The logs are still here, she said. They're old, really old, but they're intact. Someone wanted us to find them. The crew activated the logs. The messages were clear and urgent. They described a distant enemy, a machine swarm called the Harvesters, which had consumed human colonies in the past. Detailed maps of star systems, escape routes, and hidden supply caches filled the screens. The SOS was not a cry for immediate rescue. It was a call to prepare. Lieutenant Tull frowned. So this signal isn't just a warning. It's a guide, Alara nodded. Exactly. Whoever sent it wanted humans to come, and if the legends are true, we're about to meet the Harvesters again. Far above in orbit, other species observed the human fleet with astonishment. Alien scientists and soldiers had tracked the movement of the Endurance and its support vessels. They had expected a weak, dying species responding to a centuries-old SOS. Instead, they saw humans arriving in coordinated formations, their ships rugged but efficient, ready for anything. One alien observer, a tall, multi-limbed being named Korvath, whispered to its companions. They are not afraid. They actually look excited. They are humans, another replied. Do not underestimate them. Remember the legends. They survive where others fail. The humans moved with purpose. Scouts landed first, marking terrain, scanning for hazards. Engineers followed, restoring old systems and connecting new ones. Soldiers set up defensive positions, not out of fear, but out of habit, because on a death world, preparation was survival. Alara walked through the corridors of the outpost, examining the ancient logs. The Harvesters are machines, she said. They destroy everything, entire colonies. But humans don't just survive, we adapt. We fight back. Tull shook his head. They are legendary. No one has defeated them. Not entirely true, Alara said with a faint smile. We haven't met them yet. Outside, the planet's storms raged on, but inside the outpost, the humans worked like a well-oiled machine. Communications were restored, defensive systems rebooted, and supplies organized. Every crew member understood the stakes. This was not just about survival. It was about showing the galaxy what humans could do. The alien fleet above grew nervous. Observing the humans from a distance, they realized that these weren't ordinary beings reacting to danger. They were hunters preparing for war. One of the aliens, a diplomatic envoy named Krill, transmitted a message to the Galactic Council. Humans, as they are not responding to fear. They are responding to challenge. We may have underestimated them. Meanwhile, the humans were not waiting. They sent exploratory drones toward the outer edges of the system. The drones reported strange activity, faint energy signatures, metallic traces, and patterns too uniform to be natural. The Harvesters were near and they were awakening. Captain Alara gathered her team. This is it. We now know what we're facing. The Harvesters are back and the galaxy is ignoring the warning. But humans never wait. We prepare, we adapt, and we strike. Engineer Leora Chan looked up. Do we even know what we're dealing with? Alara's eyes gleamed with determination. We know enough. They are machines. They are predictable in ways organic beings are not. And humans are unpredictable. The landing teams continued to fortify the outpost. Turrets were deployed, shields activated, and emergency supplies distributed. Every human present knew the stories of lost colonies, of entire fleets wiped out by the Harvesters. And yet none of them showed fear. The challenge excited them. It was in their nature to survive and to turn the impossible into possible. As the first waves of human reinforcements arrived, the alien observers could barely comprehend what they saw. Humans were assembling not just to defend, they were planning a preemptive strike. Their ships, though rough in design compared to alien vessels, carried innovations that no alien technology could predict. Improvised weapons, reinforced hulls, and adaptive energy shields made them difficult targets. The outpost, once abandoned and silent, now buzzed with life. Humans moved with purpose, coordinating every action, preparing for a battle that the rest of the galaxy believed impossible. Signal confirmed, reported a scout from the landing team. The Harvesters are active in this sector. Energy signatures increasing rapidly. Alara nodded. Good, that gives us time. Not much, but enough. Prepare the fleet. We move at first light. In orbit, alien fleets held their positions, unsure whether to intervene or retreat. The humans, though fewer in number, projected confidence. Every vessel, every crew member radiated determination. They were the Deathworlders, humans who had survived every threat the galaxy could throw at them. And now, faced with an enemy that had destroyed worlds, they were ready to rise again. The night on the Deathworld was long, storms raging across the barren lands. But inside the outpost, humans rested only briefly. Watches were set, systems checked, and strategies discussed. Every decision, every preparation was focused on one goal: surviving the arrival of the harvesters, and showing the galaxy that humans were not just survivors, they were hunters, warriors, and pioneers beyond compare. As the storm raged outside, Captain Alara looked at her team. The SOS brought us here, not to warn us but to call us, to test us, and we will answer. The harvesters don't know what's coming. The galaxy is about to remember humans in a way it never will forget. Far above, alien observers transmitted their astonishment back to their home systems. Humans were more than legends, they were a force that no one had truly understood. And now, they were moving with precision, with courage, and with a determination that left even the oldest species in awe. The first human ships left the landing pads, engines glowing faintly in the darkness. Scouts moved ahead, mapping hazards and gathering intelligence. Every movement was deliberate, every action calculated. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they were also meticulous. And in the coming confrontation, those traits would make all the difference. The galaxy watched silently, holding its collective breath. Humans had arrived. The SOS had been answered. And in the darkness, something ancient and deadly stirred. But the Deathworlders were ready. And the galaxy would soon learn why Earth had been called a death world in the first place. Our word count, 13005. If you want, I can continue with part 3, focusing on the first clash with the harvesters, full of action, tension, and humans demonstrating their ingenuity and resilience. Do you want me to write part 3 next? You said. Part 3. 1300 words ka lekho or interesting hona chahiye or third-person style ma lekhni hai or simple basic English ka. Don't use any violated word. So please avoid any violated content. ChatGPT said absolutely. Here's part 3 of your story. Written in third-person engaging simple English and around 1300 words. Part 3. The first clash. The dark void of space stretched endlessly around the human fleet. Stars glittered faintly, indifferent to the tension gathering below. The Endurance led the formation, cutting through the blackness like a predator moving toward its prey. Captain Alara Voss stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the holographic map projecting the DNO fear. Only focus. S. The stars were calm, but the galaxy was not. News of the human fleet's engagement with the harvesters had spread faster than any official communication could have predicted. Aliens in distant sectors paused their routines to observe. Whole civilizations watched the movements of the Deathworlders, trying to comprehend what they had witnessed. A species that had long been underestimated, dismissed as dangerous but ultimately primitive, had shattered expectations. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Endurance, surveying the fleet as it repaired and reorganized after the first clash. The harvesters had retreated temporarily, regrouping beyond the reach of the human sensors. But Ilara knew this lull was only temporary. The swarm would return, and when it did, the humans needed to be ready. Lieutenant Jarek Tull tapped on the console, bringing up data feeds from other systems. The galaxy is reacting. Some species are panicking, others seem inspired. Alara raised an eyebrow. Inspired? By humans? Yes, Tull said. They're realizing what we can do. Many civilizations have spent centuries running from the harvesters, hiding or surrendering systems. Humans faced them head-on and survived, and now everyone is talking about it. Across the galaxy, the shockwaves of the humans' victory rippled through governments, academies, and fleets. Messages from diplomats and military leaders poured in, expressing awe, confusion, and in some cases fear. Aliens who had once dismissed Earth as a primitive planet now whispered words previously reserved for legends. The Deathworlders are back. In the human fleet, no one celebrated. The victory had been significant, but it was only the beginning. Systems were being analyzed, weapons were being tested, and strategies refined. Humans did not fight for glory. They fought because survival demanded it, and they thrived on the challenge. Engineer Leora Chan walked along the deck, checking system diagnostics. The harvesters are predictable, she said. Their movement patterns, energy usage, response times, all of it can be analyzed. We adapt faster than they do. That's our advantage, Alara nodded. Exactly. They're like apex predators, efficient, ruthless, but they calculate. Humans think outside calculations. We're chaotic in ways they cannot anticipate, and that's why we survive. Lieutenant Tull frowned, studying the star maps. They've retreated to the outer sector. They're regrouping. But intelligence suggests they're reinforcing. The next wave will be larger, faster, and more coordinated. Then we must be ready, Alara said firmly. Not just to survive, but to take the fight to them. The human fleet moved as one. Scouts and reconnaissance drones mapped the harvesters' outer positions. Small tactical teams infiltrated areas where the machine's sensors could not detect them. Engineers developed new weapons mid-flight, improvising with resources available on board. Every decision was rapid, precise, and flexible, human traits that no other species could match. Alien observers continued to monitor the fleet. Korvath, one of the oldest in his species, whispered to a junior officer, "They are impossible. Every move is calculated yet unpredictable. We have never seen such adaptability in any species." The galaxy had not only witnessed a human fleet engage an unstoppable machine swarm, it had seen humans turn survival into strategy, adapt chaos into order, and transform fear into opportunity. Alara and her command team gathered in the tactical room. Holographic projections of the harvesters' positions hovered in midair, flickering with energy pulses. Patterns began to emerge. The machines moved in formations optimized for maximum destruction, but humans had found gaps. "We hit them here," Alara said, pointing at a cluster of drones. "Scouts can draw them into the asteroid belt. Turrets on the surface and hit squads in orbit will force them into positions they cannot control." Tull nodded. "And our energy pulses? They can destabilize groups of harvesters for minutes at a time. Enough for strikes and retreats." "Exactly," Alara said. "We're not just defending. We're controlling the battlefield. They react. We dictate." Across the galaxy, species that had once ridiculed humanity were starting to reconsider their assumptions. Ambassadors sent urgent messages to their fleets. Observe humans, learn from humans, and prepare, because these Deathworlders did not simply survive, they reshaped conflict itself. Even within the harvesters, the humans' actions caused disruption. The machines, designed for efficiency, struggled to adjust to human unpredictability. Small groups of drones became isolated, commands conflicted, units were destroyed not through sheer firepower alone, but by the humans' clever tactics and strategic improvisation. On the planet, surface teams continued to reinforce positions, laying traps, deploying energy nets, and setting up ambush points. It was a delicate balance. One misstep could allow the harvesters to strike with devastating effect. But the humans executed every task with precision, and they worked in tandem with their fleet in orbit, creating a network of defense and offense that no single species could achieve alone. Captain Alara addressed the crew over the comm system. "The galaxy is watching, not because they expect us to fail, but because they cannot understand how we succeed. We are humans. We survive, we adapt, and we will remind the galaxy why Earth is a death world." Engineer Leora Chan smiled at the words. "They'll see. They always see eventually. And when they do, they'll understand humans are not just fighters. We are a force." Lieutenant Tull studied the energy readings again. "They're starting to respond to our attacks. They're reorganizing. But we've learned their weaknesses and we're faster." Ilara nodded. "Then we exploit everyone. Every gap. Every hesitation. We fight smarter, not just harder." The next wave of the harvesters arrived hours later, larger and more coordinated. Energy pulses from their drones lit up the void, aiming for the human fleet with deadly accuracy. But humans were ready. Ships shifted patterns constantly. Decoys launched and automated turrets fired in unexpected sequences. The first engagement of the second wave was closer, more intense. Drones collided with asteroid fields deliberately manipulated by humans. Improvised electromagnetic pulses disabled sections of the swarm. Small tactical strike teams executed daring maneuvers, turning near-suicidal risks into precise victories. Alien observers could only gape. "They are unstoppable," one whispered. "They do not fight like anything else in the galaxy." Above all, humans remained calm. Even when a harvester drone destroyed a smaller scout vessel, the crew adapted immediately, using the loss as data to adjust tactics. Their morale remained high, their coordination flawless, their purpose unwavering. In the chaos of battle, humans demonstrated ingenuity beyond machinery. They used fragments of destroyed harvesters to create new weapons, redirecting energy beams back into the swarm. Surface teams set up traps that forced mechanical drones into choke points, where orbiting ships could strike decisively. Captain Alara watched the battle unfold. "We are teaching them lessons," she said quietly. "Not just how humans fight, but why humans survive." By the end of the engagement, the Harvesters were once again forced to retreat, leaving behind damaged units and disrupted formations. The humans had not just defended, they had taken the initiative, reshaping the battlefield to their advantage. Across the galaxy, reports came in. Entire species that had considered humans primitive now studied them as a model of survival and strategy. Historians, scholars, and military leaders debated the meaning of what they had seen. Humans were more than just resilient. They were game changers. In the human fleet, the crew celebrated briefly, not with pomp or ceremony, but with quiet satisfaction. They had survived the second engagement. They had gained the upper hand, and they had reminded the galaxy that humans did not simply face danger, they mastered it. Captain Alara addressed her crew. "This is only the beginning. The Harvesters will come again, stronger and smarter, but so will we. Every challenge, every threat, every impossible situation is ours to overcome. We are humans, and the galaxy will remember us." Lieutenant Toll smiled. "They'll have to. There's no other explanation for what we just did." Alara's eyes gleamed as she stared into the stars. "No explanation necessary. Let them watch. Let them wonder. The Deathworlders are here, and we are not finished." As the fleet regrouped, the galaxy began to shift. Some civilizations offered aid, realizing they could learn from humans. Others withdrew, fearful of the unpredictable and unstoppable force now operating in their sector. The Harvesters, machines built for total domination, had been outmaneuvered not by sheer firepower but by human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. And the humans, unbowed, unbroken, and unstoppable, prepared for the next wave, ready to strike again, to survive again, and to ensure that the galaxy would never forget the name of Earth. The galaxy held its breath. After days of tense battles and careful maneuvers, the humans were poised for their most daring move yet. The Harvesters had retreated to their central hive, a massive, lifeless world stripped of organic life and turned into a fortress of machines. No species had dared approach it before. Entire fleets had been annihilated simply trying. But humans were not like other species. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Endurance, her eyes scanning the approaching hive world. Her fleet surrounded her, each vessel a testament to human ingenuity. Patched hulls, improvised weapons, reinforced shields, and crews who thrived in danger. They had adapted to every challenge the Harvesters had thrown at them, and now they were ready to strike at the heart of the machine swarm. Lieutenant Jarek Tull tapped on the map. "Sensors show the swarm is massive. This is beyond anything we've faced so far." Alara's expression was calm, almost serene. "Then we don't fight them the way they expect. We make them fight our way." The human fleet advanced cautiously. Scouts flew ahead, mapping defenses and finding weak points. Every movement was precise, every maneuver rehearsed and refined. Surface teams had already prepared ambush points, traps, and energy nets designed to ensnare the approaching drones. Humans did not rush blindly. They planned, adapted, and executed. On the alien observation stations, fleets of various species watched in stunned silence. Korvath whispered to his colleagues, "They are impossible. Every action is deliberate, but nothing can predict it. They are humans, Deathworlders, and they do not fight like anything else in the galaxy." The first wave of the Harvester defenses reacted aggressively, sending swarms to intercept. But the humans were ready. Using a combination of orbital maneuvers, decoy drones, and electromagnetic pulses, they disrupted the machine's formations. Small teams broke through defensive lines, drawing the swarm toward traps where surface and orbital teams could strike together. Engineer Leora Chan monitored the energy pulses. "Their central hive is vulnerable at multiple points. The swarm is strong, but it's structured. We just need to destabilize the nodes and we can collapse it from the inside." Alara nodded. "Then that's exactly what we'll do. Tactical teams prepare for ground insertion. Fleet hold positions and support the surface attack. We move together." The first dropships descended toward the hive world, skimming past towering structures of metal and fire. On the ground, humans moved with unmatched precision, navigating corridors filled with dormant drones and automated defenses. They set charges, hacked control nodes, and prepared the environment for the approaching swarm. As the harvesters realized the humans had reached their hive, their response was swift and brutal. Waves of drones surged toward the humans on the surface, but the Deathworlders did not retreat. They moved with coordination, striking with improvised weapons, redirecting energy attacks, and using the very structures of the hive against their attackers. Lieutenant Tull directed orbital support. Target their energy cores near the southern gate. Fire when ready. Plasma beams tore through the hive, collapsing tunnels and forcing harvesters into confined spaces where humans could control the battle. Drones were caught in energy nets and traps, their coordination disrupted. The machines were powerful, but humans had one advantage they could never calculate: unpredictability. Captain Alara led a squad into the hive's central chamber. The air was thick with heat and the hum of machinery. She glanced at her team, all seasoned warriors, all human, all fearless. "Remember," she said quietly, "we adapt, we improvise, and we survive. No machine has ever faced us like this. Today we show them why humans are called Deathworlders." The team moved swiftly, setting energy disruptors and hacking nodes. The central hive began to falter. Massive machines froze, their routines conflicted. The human fleet above exploited every hesitation, striking with precision. From orbit, the alien observers transmitted frantic reports back to their homeworlds. Entire civilizations watched as humans dismantled a force that had been considered unstoppable. The swarm faltered, then retreated, then collapsed inward as the hive's systems failed. Engineer Leora Chan reported from the control room, excitement in her voice. "They're collapsing the core. We've destabilized the central energy nodes. The hive is falling apart." Alara's lips curled into a proud smile. "Then it's time to finish it. Push forward. Leave nothing behind." Human teams moved through the hive systematically, dismantling systems, redirecting remaining drones into traps, and shutting down production lines. Every step was precise, every action deliberate. The machines had been designed to consume life, to eliminate unpredictability. But humans were chaos incarnate. They turned the very rules of the harvesters against them. Finally, the hive began to collapse in on itself. Massive structures of metal buckled and broke. Energy cores exploded in controlled sequences, sending waves of destruction outward. The harvester's central network was destroyed, and the remaining drones shut down permanently. Captain Alara Voss stood in the central chamber, her team around her, and took a deep breath. "It's over," she said softly. "The galaxy will remember this." Above, the human fleet celebrated quietly. No cheering, no unnecessary noise. Humans did not need glory. They had done what mattered. They had survived. They had adapted. And they had defeated an enemy that no other species had faced and lived. Alien fleets observed in awe and disbelief. A species once dismissed as primitive had just dismantled a force that had destroyed entire civilizations. Across the galaxy, communications buzzed with a single repeated message: "The Deathworlders have returned, and they are unstoppable." Even within the Galactic Council, leaders debated the implications. Some feared humanity, worried that a species so resilient and unpredictable could challenge the established order. Others realized the humans' potential as protectors, as a force that could confront threats no other species could face. On the ground, the survivors of the human teams began clearing the wreckage, securing resources and establishing control. The hive world, once a place of death and terror, was now silent. Humans had turned it into a symbol of their determination, ingenuity, and resilience. Captain Alara looked at her team. "We've done what no one else could. But remember this, our job is never done. The galaxy is full of threats, full of challenges. And humans rise to meet them." Lieutenant Tull smiled. "We've shown the galaxy our strength. They'll never forget this." "No," Alara agreed. "And neither will we. Humans don't just survive. We adapt, we conquer, we endure. And today we became unstoppable." Far across the stars, civilizations began to change their perception of humanity. Where once humans had been dismissed, they were now feared, respected, and admired. The SOS that had called the Deathworlders had set in motion events that no one had predicted. A species thought ordinary had risen to extraordinary heights. The human fleet regrouped, repaired, and prepared to return home. Stories of their victory would spread through the galaxy, inspiring hope in some and fear in others. The harvesters were gone, Their reign of terror ended by a species that no one truly understood: humans. As the Endurance departed the hive world, Captain Alara looked out at the stars. "We came because of a call," she said softly. "We fought because it was our way, and we won because we are human. And humans are unstoppable." Across the galaxy, the echo of human victory resonated. Systems that had once considered surrender or hiding now reconsidered their own place in the universe. Aliens told their young stories of the humans who survived the harvesters, teaching them that courage, ingenuity, and determination could overcome even the most impossible odds. The SOS that had started it all faded into memory, but its consequences would endure. Humans had answered the call, faced a threat that no one else could, and emerged victorious, and the galaxy, for all its wonders and dangers, now knew the truth. When humans arrive, survival is not enough. They will prevail, adapt, and endure. The Deathworlders had returned, and they were unstoppable. The planet Valora hung silently in the dark reaches of the Scifi system, its sky streaked with the pale light of distant suns. Once Valora had been a shining jewel among the stars, a hub of culture, science, and creativity for its people, the Valorians. But that was long ago. Now the planet bore the scars of endless struggle. Cities lay in ruins, fields had turned to dust, and rivers that once sparkled with life now ran thin and brown. The Valorians themselves were a delicate species, fragile in body compared to the larger, stronger races that roamed the galaxy. They were graceful, intelligent, and highly creative, but they lacked brute strength. This had made them easy targets. Time and again, their enemies had exploited their weaknesses. One by one, other species in the Scifi system had abandoned them. Even their supposed allies had turned away, deeming Valora a lost cause. In a hidden city beneath the cracked surface of their once proud capital, a small council of Valorian leaders gathered. Their chambers were dim, lit only by soft holographic displays showing maps of their decimated world. A tense silence filled the room, broken only by the hum of machinery that had once been advanced but now struggled to function. "Another colony has fallen," said Arendor, the eldest of the council, his voice low but firm. His scales shimmered faintly in the soft light, a reminder of the fragile beauty of his kind. "The Zytrax move too fast. Their fleets destroy every outpost before we can respond." A younger Valorian, Lyra, leaned forward, her large, expressive eyes reflecting the faint light. "We can't keep running forever. Our people are dying. If we surrender now, we will be erased entirely." Arendor shook his head slowly. "Surrender? The Zytrax will not show mercy. Even if we gave them our technology, our knowledge, our cities, they would destroy us anyway. That is the nature of stronger species. We are too weak to resist, too weak to survive." Another council member, Tavren, interjected sharply. "Then what do you propose? Hiding in the shadows until extinction reaches us? We have tried everything. Bargaining, hiding, even fighting small skirmishes, and all have failed. There is no hope left for Valora." Lyra's voice trembled with determination. "Maybe hope is not in hiding. Maybe hope is somewhere else, somewhere beyond the stars. We have always thought we were alone, but what if we are not?" The council stared at her, some in disbelief. "What do you mean, Lyra?" Arendor asked. "Look," she said, pointing to a flickering screen. "Our sensors detected an unusual energy signature in orbit. Not Zytrax, not like anything we've ever seen. A vessel, observing us quietly." The chamber went silent. The word vessel carried weight. Valorians had not seen any other species approach their planet in decades, except for those that sought to destroy them. The idea of someone watching them, not to harm them, was almost unimaginable. Tavren frowned. It could be another predator, another Zytrax fleet hiding in stealth. "We cannot trust this. We do not survive by trusting strangers." Lyra shook her head. "It is not like the Zytrax. The readings, they are different. Their energy is alive, warm almost, and they are not attacking. They are observing." Arendor studied the screen, his brow furrowed. He had always been cautious, but even he could not ignore the possibility. For the first time in years, a spark of curiosity flickered in his mind. Perhaps we should make contact," he said slowly, as if testing the words on his tongue. "But carefully, quietly. If they are hostile, we must be ready to retreat." The council debated for hours. Every argument seemed to circle back to the same conclusion. The Valorians had little to lose. Their world was dying, their people scattered and fearful, and their enemies growing stronger. If there was a chance, even a tiny one, to find help beyond their planet, it had to be taken. Finally, the decision was made. A small team of Valorians, led by Lyra, would approach the human vessel. They would observe and attempt communication, but they would remain cautious. Arendor's words echoed in Lyra's mind as she prepared for departure. Trust is dangerous, but so is despair. Choose wisely, child. Lyra and her team ascended from the shadows of the hidden city, moving across barren plains scarred by past battles. The sky above Valora was empty of familiar stars, but in the distance a single metallic speck floated silently, the human vessel. Its hull reflected the dim starlight, smooth and clean, unlike anything Valorians had ever built. As they approached, a wave of fear mixed with awe washed over the group. Humans. They had heard stories of other species who traveled the stars with unmatched ingenuity, strength, and curiosity, but never had a human been here. Never had one come so close to their dying world without violence. The human vessel emitted a soft pulse, almost like a greeting. Lyra activated her translator device and sent a message. "We are Valorians. We mean no harm. Who are you?" Moments later, a human figure appeared on the display, a man with warm eyes and a calm expression. His voice, translated through the device, was gentle but firm. "We are explorers from Earth. We mean no harm. We have been watching your world, and we think you have potential. We want to help." Lyra's heart raced. She had expected skepticism or even threats. Instead, she heard hope. The other Valorians exchanged nervous glances. Could they trust these strangers? Or was this another trick, another trap set by a powerful species that preyed on the weak? Arendor's words echoed again. "Choose wisely, child." Still, something about the humans felt different. They were not aggressive. They were not demanding or condescending. Their energy, their tone conveyed respect and intelligence. And in a world where all had abandoned the Valorians, respect alone was almost unheard of. Lyra made a decision. "We accept your presence," she said, her voice steady. "But we will remain cautious. Our people have been betrayed before. We must know your intentions before we trust you fully." The human nodded. "We understand. Let us prove ourselves through actions, not words. We will not ask you to surrender your pride. We want to stand with you, not above you." A faint smile appeared on Lyra's face. Perhaps after centuries of fear and despair, the Valorians might finally have found a friend in the vast emptiness of space. Perhaps, just perhaps, the story of their survival was not over. As night fell over the ruined city of Valora, Lyra and her team returned to the council with news. Some members were wary, but the promise of a possible ally sparked debates filled with hope rather than despair for the first time in decades. Arendor looked at Lyra, his eyes reflecting a mix of caution and pride. "You have taken the first step toward survival," he said. "But remember, trust is fragile, and our enemies are patient. We must prepare for the storm ahead, whether it comes from the stars or from within our own ranks." Lyra nodded, understanding the weight of his words. The humans might be their only chance, but the path forward would be filled with challenges, doubts, and tests of courage. In the skies above, the human vessel floated silently, observing yet respecting the fragile world below. In its quiet presence lay a promise, an alliance that could turn the tide for the Valorians. But whether the Valorians were ready to embrace it, or whether their old fears would hold them back, remained to be seen. For now, the Valorians were abandoned no longer. For the first time in generations, they felt the stirrings of hope. And hope, in a galaxy that had long written them off as weak, was more powerful than any weapon. The journey had begun.